The time for awareness is over. It is time for action.
Someone cares about you.
There's a reason why your heart is beating.
You still have a purpose.
Don't give up.
It's important to know that you're not alone.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. You are not alone.
Today marks our 100th episode, and I am so excited to bring on my producer and wife, Leigh Anne, to just recap the previous 100 episodes, tell you some of our highlights, lowlights, things that we've learned along the way, as well as update you on things that we're expecting to come down the pipeline.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Danny, and congratulations. I'm so proud of you and proud of us and so grateful to all of our listeners. This has been an amazing journey so far. I can't believe 100 episodes later and the incredible impact that we've seen through this podcast has been wonderful.
I really can't imagine doing this, one, without you, two, being back here in Hawaii to film our 100th episode, getting ready for our new studio space in the next couple months. We're going to be actually settling down, but over these last nearly 2 years, we've traveled to 10 different countries, to include the U.S. and driving across, as well as interviewed, I don't even know how many guests at this point, and drove through 20 some odd states.
It's been a journey. Yeah, we are not only national, but we've gone international, and so has our listeners. I think it's crazy. I looked to see we have people listening from 46 different countries at this point, which is amazing. We've interviewed veterans from quite a few different countries as well, since mental health and suicide prevention is not just an American issue. It is a worldwide thing we're all trying to tackle together. And so that's been incredible. And we are also we have listeners in 47 states.
47.
So we do have 3 states that do not have any listeners quite yet.
Wait.
I think it was Montana, South Dakota, and Vermont, which was a bummer. One of my favorite states. So
we actually got to live there for like a month on your favorite mountain.
I know. So calling you out, Montana, South Dakota, and specifically Vermont. We want some listeners from those states.
Yeah, we can't have more countries listening than states.
Yeah, it's a pretty even, it's almost an even tie right now.
But that's amazing. And we know that most of our listeners are still out here in Hawaii, which is great to have the hometown support to be back here. It's one of the reasons that we decided to come back to Hawaii, to continue to nurture and grow our audience. We have some walkers that are now starting up, at least out here. I know Rose has been one of our biggest supporters since she saw us on Living 808 back in September, October, something like that. There was a special that came up, and we're really working on nurturing this. I can't believe what we've managed to accomplish so far in just 2 short years of producing 1 Mile, 1 Veteran. And I'm really excited to kind of give a quick recap over the first 99 episodes, since this is the 100th, and share some of our lessons learned through our 5 pillars of physical, mental, spiritual, relational, and professional health.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun to go back through. I know initially we were just going to choose one really key takeaway from each pillar, and that proved to be so hard. I think on the first go around, Danny asked, okay, let me know your list. What are your takeaways? And I think I had 23. So we had to pare them down. I think we managed to get down to 7. So we have a couple duplicates. One is from our physical health pillar, which we can jump right into, some of our key takeaways.
In one of our first episodes.
One of our very first episodes, actually the first episode that we had filmed with a guest, is with one of our wonderful friends and huge supporters, Aleem Shabazz.
Yeah, Aleem is absolutely incredible, has been one of the pillars of our community. When we're doing Spartan races, anytime we're having an event at the AmVet Center, he is there cheering us on, promoting 1 Mile, 1 Veteran, talking about mental health and suicide prevention and the impact that physical health has on it, and also how people can start to really frame their minds. One of the earliest things that he had said to me was that this is going to be something that is going to impact people for years to come. We just need to start now regardless of how perfect. And I think you actually found a clip that kind of cues up a little bit of that message, didn't you?
I do. These were some of the words that really have impacted us the most from that episode.
A lot of people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. So just start. Just take imperfect action and start.
That's been a quote that I know that you have really lived by over this past year in your own physical transformation.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't just apply just physically, but for those that have been following along, last year I was nearly 240 pounds, couldn't run a mile. I was really missing out on marathon training. I was hoping to accomplish a few, went out on my first training run, and my hip pain was so great because I was just not used to carrying that much weight. The stress of starting 1 Mile One Veteran, selling our home, getting out on the road had really caused me to stress eat and then also start to really give into a lot of my depressive thoughts. And what ended up happening is my mind, I was still young, healthy, and vibrant, but my body was telling me something different. And I was like, all right, well, I have to start with just one thing. And it was this message that kind of said, all right, I know that I can't accomplish a marathon in 3 months, but I can probably accomplish one in 2 years.
Yeah, and you really started moving on that goal. And I was proud to see you set that future mindset. It's not something that's always that instant gratification. I know we all want something right now, but it takes that time and really being able to plan it out of like, okay, this is where I want to be in a few years. Let me work it back. And what do I need to start doing now to make that a reality? And I also love what Aleem said about taking imperfect action. As a recovering perfectionist, that has been a hard thing for me to do. I always want everything to be at such an exceptional quality. And while I think that is good to have high standards, do not let the perfect become the enemy of the good. I think that's from Voltaire, and which is basically what Aleem was also saying. Take that imperfect action, get started, and especially when considering 1 Mile One Veteran, this message is so important. We need to start talking about these things now. It's okay if it's not super polished. Get those thoughts out there, get talking, and get moving. And that kind of leads us into our second one from our physical pillar, which was Mark Lauren.
Oh my gosh, Mark Lauren. If you missed the episode, he is a pillar of foundational fitness. Primarily calisthenics, which is something that I've really taken a liking to. I follow a lot of different guys on YouTube that are really calisthenic athletes because I'm looking for health and fitness into my later 40s, 50s, and even up into my 70s. And when I look at what has the longevity, I look at runners and I look at calisthenics and body weight activities. And Mark Lauren is one of these gentlemen that has really started training people on how to use their body to create strong amounts of resistance and a lot of resilience within the body.
Yeah, he literally wrote the book on body weight activities. You are your own gym. I remember getting that years ago. And so having the chance to talk to him on the podcast was amazing. And he really talks about coming back to foundational movements. And this is what he has to say about that.
By specifically focusing on the fundamental athletic skills that get used all the time, that's how you get the most out of your training. And the fundamentals are the things that get used the most. So by taking your limited time and energy and focusing on those things, that's how you get the most bang for your buck.
And that really put me in the mindset that walking was what I was able to do, and walking was where I needed to start that journey 50 some odd pounds ago. I would go out and try to do a lot of what I did when I was younger, which was a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, squats, a lot of CrossFit activities, because it brought me a lot of joy to be able to do those things. However, my body was no longer keeping up. My mind was no longer keeping up, and neither was my nutrition. And I was just trying to do too much. And so walking was where I started.
Yeah, I really loved what he had to say about getting back to the fundamentals and then also getting the most bang for your buck, because I know all of us, we have limited amounts of time and energy. So just go back to the basics, do those fundamental movements. I love that.
And not only that, the amount of time that you spend doing it, what I've been encouraging people to do is, starting where I started, devote at least 20 minutes a day. If you feel like you can't get in a full exercise regime, give yourself at least 20 minutes a day. Make that time. Demand that time for your own health and well-being to just get out the door and do some very light activity that you can do.
Absolutely. And I love that. And if you can incorporate a community into it, that brings us into our next pillar, which is the relational pillar. And we feel like relationships are so vital to overall health and happiness in life. And one of the people that we had on the podcast who stands out is Jess Casada from Liberisk. She is an absolutely incredible Marine Corps veteran, great community that she has built over there all around travel.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest hurdles that I had when we were on the road was I was missing my community. All the things that I had built up for the last 12 years being out here in Hawaii, all the friends and people that we were beginning to influence through 1 Mile, One Veteran as it was launching, to then head out on the road, meet some people stateside, but then be gone almost immediately was probably one of the biggest challenges that I've had over these last nearly 2 years. But what I've also found is this wonderful community within 1 Mile, One Veteran and within the travel community as well. Just opportunities to share passions with others, even when we're on the road. Because as Leigh Anne knows, and most people that have ever spoken with me, I don't keep conversations very light.
You definitely are not great at small talk, but you are so good at those deep conversations. And I feel like you and Jess really had one on the podcast. And I love what she was talking about when she speaks about wonder and awe and needing those new experiences and embracing those new experiences. So this is what she had to say about that.
If we go through the mundane routine of our life with nothing that is novice, we lose a sense of wonder and curiosity that can greatly diminish our ability to be grateful and to be present, to love the life that we live in.
I really love those words from Jess, and I feel like we experienced that while traveling, that wonder and awe, embracing the new things, which I know previously things that were outside of the normal routine or schedule became very hard for you. As a combat veteran with PTSD, you do well with things that are expected, and the unexpected were the things that would kind of trigger or throw you for a loop. But I feel like you've built that resilience along the way. And I think travel really teaches you and does bring you back to this core of humanity. You get to see people in all different walks of life, all different cultures. And it just connects you in some way, not only to the rest of the world, but I feel like it really teaches us a lot about ourselves. And so I'm grateful that we've had the chance to travel while doing this. And of course, I'm grateful that communities like Liberisk exist as well. So definitely check them out.
You know, one of the other things, I know not everybody will take the opportunity to travel in the way in which we did over these last couple of years. However, when she talks about the newness of life, when we learn to be present in the moment, we learn that there are new experiences to be had every day doing the same things. They aren't actually mundane. Not every piece of bread tastes the same. Not every cup of coffee hits the same. And so like when I think about that newness, because I was out there chasing experiences for a good period of time, and I came to find out that I actually like to sit in a place for 2, 3, 4 months and experience the same thing over and over, because there was a new experience to be had every day. And like we can do that in our relationships. I still get to learn new things about you every day. I get to learn new ways to communicate with you every day. And that's, one, challenging, but two, so rewarding, because this never becomes mundane.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think finding the extraordinary in the ordinary is a big key to life. And I hope that we always hold on to that, because I think that that's really important. And not just having the relationship with each other as spouses or relationships with our family or friends, but one thing that we believe at 1 Mile, One Veteran, that it's vital to also have a relationship in the spiritual sense as well. The spiritual pillar, believing in something that is greater than yourself and connecting to that, is really important.
One of the people that actually demonstrated this the greatest, in my opinion, while we were out on the road, and maybe I'm a little biased because we actually had a chance to meet in person and conduct one of the few in-person interviews that we had while out on the road, was JP Lane. I mean, him and his wife are just doing such amazing things across the states and in Texas as well. And he really found his purpose once again through his faith, through his spirituality and his faith in Christ. And it's just really to be admired because he had every opportunity to become a hopeless individual, but he chose to redefine his purpose and continue to move forward. And like, I think he shares it best.
He gave me that reminder that I still have a purpose. Just because I lost my legs doesn't mean that purpose went with it. Maybe the job, which I now consider any job that I do is technically just a side job, because my main hustle, if you want to call it a hustle, my main job is literally reminding people that God's still alive. He's still here, and he'll get you through anything you're going through.
I love that. And for people who don't recall his interview or haven't heard of him yet, JP Lane is a double amputee. He lost both of his legs in an explosion in Afghanistan and has overcome so much. When you speak with him, he is so full of joy. He lives his life to the fullest every day. He has gone on to do incredible things, and he really connected to his faith, and that is what got him through. And I admire that so much in him.
Yeah, JP Lane he admits he has hard days. However, he knows what his purpose is. And like myself, I know the purpose of this podcast. I know the impact that it's had. I've had those conversations with the individual. Thank God, because it's one of those things that motivates me. And for those of you that may not have that strong driving purpose, start latching onto another person's purpose. So one of those good purposes that they have, latch onto our purpose. Come walk a mile with us. Share this message of hope and inspiration with another person. You know, one of the things that we know about suicidal ideations, mental wellness, physical health, is that it really, for a lot of people, they have to hit a wall. They have to be searching deep enough with a strong enough reason to actually start making a difference in their life. And, you know, one of our previous guests, and this is one of the ones where we struggled to choose who would best represent this professional aspect. However, you know, and so we kind of flipped a coin and we decided it landed in the middle.
We couldn't leave anyone out here.
But the author of Rock Bottom Has a Trampoline, Charlinda Scales, was one of the most authentic, real, and friendly conversations that we've had through an internet connection. And we got to meet her at the Military Influencer Conference as well, which was such a joy before we did the interview. So we actually got to know one another a little bit. But she talks about rock bottom, and when you hit it, it actually propels you forward. However, sometimes it takes a lot to finally find that rock bottom. And if you are there, I do encourage you, start having the hope that the spring up is going to start to occur. And I'll let her kind of put what rock bottom is in her own words.
Rock bottom is not a place you go and stay. Rock bottom is a moment that's supposed to tell you something. If you believe in something bigger than yourself, then rock bottom has a trampoline.
Ooh, Charlinda.
If you believe in something bigger than yourself, and so many of us, we're just inherently selfish. We are. I am. I know that I am. One of my biggest problems right now being back in Hawaii is there's so many things that I want. And I have this amazing wife. I have this amazing life out here. We have this terrific community with 1 Mile, 1 Veteran. We have this mission that we're on. And yet I continue to look at myself and go, oh, I want. However, there's a bigger purpose to be had. And that's where our spiritual and professional lives can really start to align, when we can find our purpose that continues to motivate us daily.
Absolutely. And Charlinda had so many good nuggets from her episode. I encourage you to go back and listen to that one. She is an incredible entrepreneur, a wonderful mother, and just an all-around amazing person. So definitely go check out her episode. And I love that she says that you can learn something from that rock bottom. It's not that you just slam into the ground and that's it. It's that when you're in that place, be open to it. Instead of saying, please get me out of this horrible situation that I'm stuck in, take a moment. What lesson are you meant to learn there? What lesson are you supposed to learn in that rock bottom moment? And then with that, know that you're not going to stay there. You have a way back up, because rock bottom has a trampoline if you believe in something bigger than yourself. So an incredible entrepreneur, a great example of in the professional pillar. And then another wonderful Air Force veteran who we had the pleasure of talking to is Nicole Malachowski.
Very, very cool. And Nicole Malachowski talks a little bit about, in her roundabout way, of how to begin bouncing back, because it can feel very lonely at rock bottom. However, there are so many people there willing to lend a hand, willing to provide direction, mentorship, serve as somebody that has gone before. And she really, this woman, not only was she the first female Thunderbird pilot, she's also worked for administrations within the White House, doing nonprofit administrations, as well as just national policy, having an impact on military families. I mean, she's really gone the entire gambit of military to nonprofit life. And then she came down with a neurological tick-borne illness and has utilized that rock bottom to then continue to propel forward and help other people overcome the difficulties that they have with that. And she talks about the power of asking for help.
Remember, when you ask for help, it's not just about you, right? When you ask for help, you're enabling and empowering all those people around you, your teammates, your colleagues, the people that work for you, to do the same. So if you can't do it just purely for yourself, do it for other people. And that was a way to kind of shift the mindset on the power of asking for help.
How humble she is. This is an incredible woman, and I have so much respect for her, especially as the first female Thunderbird pilot. To be in that situation where you feel like you have the world on your shoulders and you're trying to pave the way for all these other women to move forward, that takes a lot to be able to ask for help, especially in that situation. I'm just so impressed that she put her ego aside and said, no, if we're going to get through this together as a team, I need to be able to say, hey, I need help. And how much better are we all for it if any one of us says that? Because the more and more, especially as we're doing this podcast, the more and more we ask for help, we are empowering other people to do the same. And we start realizing that all of us could use a little help.
Yeah, I mean, think back to, being in a classroom and the teacher said there's no such thing as a stupid question, or if you have a question, there's a chance that somebody else does. And we know that within this space, especially the military first responder, veteran, any working professional space where you feel that high stress, high performance level, those that don't ask for help are doing a disservice to those that need help, because that level of strength to come forward and say, hey, I actually don't have all the answers is, like Leigh Anne mentioned, a mark of humility to say, hey, I'm not the best of the best. I'm the best because I'm with the best. You all have answers that I need, and it's up to me to then find them from you. One of the things that I tell people about having a mental health condition is I get kind of a head start in life because I have doctors and professionals and experts speaking into my life on a regular basis to tell me some of the greatest tools that I can use. And that's what we also look to share with you through the 1 Mile 1 Veteran podcast, is talking to these people that work in this space, talking to these people that have gone before you with similar struggles. And one of the gentlemen, and kind of my favorite because he hits two marks. First, his name is Michael Scott. And
for any Office fans out there.
I will rewatch The Office over and over and over again. It's my background noise. It's some of my jokes that I share with my friends. But he's also a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. And third, he decided to start working in the suicide prevention space for his own reasons that he shares with on our podcast. But he's actually become one of like the catchphrases that we use when we are out and about. Leigh Anne's wearing the apparel right now. Hope spreads faster. And this is what he has to say about why it's so important to be talking about mental health and especially PTSD and suicide prevention.
If suicide can spread fast, so can awareness. It could spread faster. Comfort can spread faster. Worth can spread faster. And hope, that can spread faster as well.
I love that. It has become the motto, the mantra for 1 Mile, 1 Veteran. Thank you, Michael, for that. It's so true. Hope does spread faster. We can do this together. We fully believe in this mission. And I love that phrase. We've made it into t-shirts. We have hats. We have all of this Hope Spreads Faster apparel on 1 Mile, 1 Veteran. If you do want to help support our mission, go check it out at 1mile1veteran.com. And I just feel like Mike really does put into perspective that mental health pillar and why it is so important to talk about it. The more we talk about it, the more we can help one another. And that's what it really is about.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway that I've had in these previous 99 episodes is that there are more people and more resources willing and available to help people, not just in a crisis, but before the crisis ever gets there. Because like if we're already in that crisis state, asking for help is that much more difficult. But if you start talking to your community right now, right where you're at, about the fact that there's a hard day. I was on the phone the other day. A friend calls me up and he says, "Hey, Danny, how are you doing?" And my initial reaction was to say, "Oh, I'm fine. How are you?" But I had to stop myself because I'm done being fake. Like, it's just, I'm done. And I said, Justin, I'm actually a little depressed today. And that's all right. Like, I'm just in a weird headspace. Don't really need to talk about it, but I just wanted to be honest with you about where I'm at. And you know what that does? It opens up the freedom for other people to also share where they're at and hear you. Maybe he wanted to explore a little bit deeper of why I am depressed, or he really wanted to provide me with that opportunity. And so I know from these conversations, they're not actually hard to have. We need to start getting comfortable having these uncomfortable conversations, because the more we have them, the easier it is to have them. I mean, we've already done the hard work. Awareness has been spread over the last 20 years in this space, and it's picked up so much more since 2011, so that way more people are talking about mental health. The next generation is talking about mental health. I am back working in the military community on a professional basis, and mental health, suicide prevention, and military sexual trauma are 3 of their highest priorities for active duty military members. They're ready to talk about it on an open level and say, hey, this isn't going to be detrimental to your career. We're going to make you stronger sailors, soldiers, armed force members, police officers, first responders. We just want you comfortable saying, hey, I'm not strong on my own. I need my community. I mean, there has been years and years spent, billions and billions of dollars spent on raising awareness for mental health, suicide prevention, and PTSD. And honestly, the time for awareness is over. It is time for action. Get active in your community. Start doing those things. Start setting the example for those in your life. If it wasn't for my mother growing up, talking about her mental health issues on a regular basis, I would not have felt comfortable talking about my mental health issues when they started to arise in a way that was very safe, secure, and comfortable. And I'll be honest with you, the path forward hurt a lot. I had to make changes that I wasn't mentally prepared to make. However, I had tremendous amounts of support, steps all along the way. If I just shut my mouth and I listened to those around me and actually heard what they had to say, listen to the lessons that they wanted to teach, because there are amazing, amazing things to be learned when we actually take the time to humble our own thoughts, silence our own thoughts, and humble our own ego and say, hey, I'm ready to listen to you, and I'm ready to start doing what you say.
Yeah, and then I think from the spouse, friend, family member perspective, check in it's not only up to the veteran or first responder or civilian who's having a hard time to speak up. It's also our collective responsibility to check in on each other, ask the hard questions, and then wait patiently for that response. Let people know that you are there, not just as a friend or family member or ally, but as someone who is going to be that person that they can call when they really need someone to answer the phone. So lay that groundwork, build those relationships, ask those questions, because those people really do want you to ask. We need to be there as a friend, as a loved one. That's so key. And that's why I'm so grateful for this community, especially over these past nearly 2 years, 100 episodes. And we're not done. We have so much still in store, and we have some really cool things coming up moving forward. Do you want to share?
Yeah, and I want to share why we're looking forward to the next 100 episodes of 1 Mile, 1 Veteran, because let's be real here for a second. 48% of Americans are affected by suicide, even meaning that they either know somebody that has died by suicide or have thoughts themselves. 1 in 2 people. This isn't a military problem. This isn't a veteran problem. This isn't a first responder or any other groups. This is a people problem. We are in a state of struggling on learning how to communicate with one another, and we're just trying to set that example of how to talk about it in a very open and honest and real way. And this show, it's not that we sit here and we talk about what the issue is. We provide tools. And Leigh Anne has been working so hard finding the right experts, listening to the feedback that we have from our audience. One of the biggest feedbacks is we want longer episodes. Well, guess what? You're going to get longer episodes.
We are giving the people what they want for sure. We are excited about the next 100 episodes. So moving forward after these next few, we are having longer episodes. That's been the big thing that people have been asking for. But we want to stay true to our 1 mile, 1 veteran mission as well, which means that each of our episodes are timed out approximately how long it takes to walk 1 mile, 20 to 24 minutes. So what we're going to do is release 2-part episodes on the same day. So those who want the longer episodes can listen to part 1 and 2 at the same time and get that full conversation. And the people who are walking while listening, who maybe want to hear it in those smaller 1 mile chunks, they can listen to part 1 one day, and then on their mile walk on another day, they can listen to part 2. So we're really excited about that. It's double the content, and I'm excited that people get to hear some of these full conversations, because sometimes there's a lot that's left on that cutting room floor. And so I'm excited for people to hear more from our incredible guests.
Yeah, and not only that, we're actually going to be bringing on guests outside of the veteran community. One of the things that's helped me so much over these last 13 years of dealing with my own issues of PTSD, alcohol dependence, and depression has been the resources outside of the veteran and military networks. It's been such tremendous support. So much wisdom there. And while being a part of the veteran community these last 2 to 3 years has been incredibly helpful in just helping me reconnect with my roots, as well as build stronger communities and develop a deeper purpose, the things that I've learned outside of the military community have really helped create me into this more well-rounded, well-balanced individual that's not always hoorah, yeah, 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 but
How was that?
hoorah, yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's just so much insight to be had in some of these other experts outside of our community.
Absolutely. We really want to bridge that divide. We just want to bring as much value that we can, as much inspiration as possible. And so, Danny, I just want to thank you for all that you do. Thank you for the past 100 episodes, for taking your mental health so seriously, and for helping others. I love your heart to serve. That has always been my favorite thing about you. So thank you for allowing me to do this with you. And to our listeners, we want to say thank you so much. We absolutely could not do this without your encouragement and support. If you want to continue to support our mission, we do ask that you would become a patron on Patreon for $3 a month. It helps to support our mission moving forward, and it's so vital because we have so much more to offer.
Yeah, the $3 will go a long way, especially as we continue to share the message, share the community aspect of it, continue to grow everything that we're doing. It'll give us the resources that we need to continue to expand our program, bring you some resources that we're really looking forward to bringing you in terms of walking programs, more content that we can produce, maybe get some relief for Leigh Anne in the editing bay, as well as just bringing on other team members. We're really looking forward to seeing how this continues to expand, either in terms of volunteers, employees, whatever 1 Mile, 1 Veteran does. We know that it is having such a good impact within our veteran community. So please continue to listen to us, share with every person you know. Share. Get Vermont, South Dakota, Montana, get them involved. And lastly, do not forget that you can listen to the 1 Mile, 1 Veteran podcast on Wreaths Across America Radio, available for you on platforms like iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and the TuneIn app.